Something that I think gets missed in the truth community with all these false flag events and hoaxes, etc., is I don't know. I think it's the impact it has the man on the street. It implants thoughts into people's minds. I'm down with. I'll get to that in a sec. I'm down with this whole pre-programming stuff. I believe the Simpsons and 9/11 and and what was that movie, the Back to the Future thing? It all pre-programming and predicted it. How did they know? We all know who did 9/11. I mean, those of us awake, we all know who did 9/11. Here in Australia, we've had a few of our own. So we had one called Port Arthur. The Port Arthur massacre happened in 1996. I think it was around Anzac Day. And up until recently when I became awake a couple of years ago, I always believed the narrative of that. But you look into it, you only have to look into it for 10 minutes and you realise something's fishy with it. The other big one we had recently was one that was called the Lint Cafe Siege. It happened in Martin Place down in Sydney. It was a Muslim fella. So we've had a couple here, and then there was another one in the 80s. I remember I was born in 73, so I don't really recall this a lot, but there was one called the Hoddle Street Massacre. Haven't really looked into it. Haven't really looked into whether the Link Cafe Siege one was a hoax or not. I'm not sure. But I think what it does is it implants ideas into people's heads. Now stay with me here. Now, if Let's take rape. Let's take rape as an example. If people did not know rape was a thing, there would be less of it. Correct? Like, people are out in the street, people are drunk, dead dipshits, they're out in the street late at night with their mates, things get out of hand, let's go do this thing. If it didn't exist and people didn't know it was actually a thing that other people have done before, it would happen less, wouldn't it? Now, there was a show called Mr. Mercedes. I really liked it. It was Mr. Mercedes. It was about a lunatic guy who mowed down a whole heap of people over in the UK, I think it was set. And that's the type of subliminal programming, pre-programming type of thing as well, because it normalises that type of behaviour. Another one we had was one that was the Burke Street Mall. A guy went crazy. It was Australia Day, I think, last year. He went absolutely mental and just started hoeing people down. To me, that looked real. He just looked like a strung-out meth queen who was just mowing people down because he had an argument and, I don't know, his bloody dole didn't come through for the week or something. And he went down and mowed down a whole heap of people. But would he have done that? Would he have done that if other people, these hoaxes, hadn't have happened? Do you get where I'm coming from? So if he didn't know that other people had mowed down a whole heap of people, that idea wouldn't have been in his head. So I think this is where it goes even further, and I think this is the part that they really want, but they're underselling the human race, because I believe people are inherently good. People do bad things because of the system, the matrix we live in now. They're driven to do bad things due to their circumstance. Sometimes people are bad, a lot of people out there are bad, but I believe most people are inherently good. But these things come and they get pre-programmed in as you go along. It's a lot like society. I hear a lot, Brett, you need to get with the times. I love that. I love it when people tell me what I need to do, first of all, and I also love it when they tell me I need to get with the times. And that's what they do. They normalise it. Do you remember a time where people didn't like gay people? It was okay not to like gay people, whereas now it's completely socially unacceptable. And do you remember when it first happened, the whole gay thing started coming out? That's good, isn't it? Coming out. When the whole gay thing started happening, you felt uneasy about it. You felt, but eventually you thought, this was society. I've got to accept. And deep down, I'm using the gay thing as an example, but there's numerous other ones, the transgender thing, the abortion. I mean, you could go on and on. All of these things that really deep down you don't like, but society dictates that you have to like it. And this is what's happening, and they're pre-programming and they're changing this society by the TV, they're changing it by the newspapers, and people are just falling for it. They're giving away their own thoughts, they're not their own belief systems, and they're just adhering to what this society, and society's just run by the TV, and who runs the TV? That's right. There's no, there's no people mowing down people in Israel, is there? No. We hear people throwing rocks at Israelis, and that makes front page news, and it's the lead story on the news, isn't it? Because they're always the victims. So where does the push? It always comes from there. Every rabbit hole I go down, the answer lays there in Israel, and that's what they're doing. They're pushing these agendas, and they're changing people's thoughts from within. But deep down, guys, you still have those thoughts, and it's okay. It's okay to be anti-abortion. It's okay to be anti-gay, so long as you're not a dick about it. You're allowed to have your own thoughts. You're entitled to have your own thoughts. And I mean, abortion, for one, it's like, if you agree with that, you're agreeing to killing babies. I mean, I'm sorry. The 50 million, I think, was the last count. Babies killed because women just don't want their kids. I mean, I would... Oh, anyway, I'm not going to talk. I'm going to talk about all that in another video. But just to sort of summarise what I'm trying to say in this video is that, absolutely, the pre-programming, it's real. The hoaxes happen because of an agenda. Port Arthur happened because of the gun control. John Howard got straight on it. Whether he was in on it or not, I don't know. Probably. He appeared to be in on the mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction things with those evil bloody Bush, and who was the UK guy that, what was his name? Blair, was it? Was it Blair back in those days? They were in on that, absolutely in on that. Were they in on was Howard in on the Port Arthur thing too? Because he got straight into it. He got straight into gun control, didn't he? Was he in on it? Maybe, who knows? But that was the agenda. The agenda of 9/11, huge agendas, but one of the agendas was to ostracize Muslims. The Link Cafe siege, yes, he was a crazy Muslim. It was done to ostracize Muslims. I talk to people in the street, and it's harder and harder to have a decent conversation with people because they're just so it's all just ingrained now, all of this fake society that's going on. It's really hard. But I have a talk to them, and I just say, look, I've never met a Muslim that hasn't been a likable person. Particularly the women. I've worked with a lot of Muslim people, and they're always good to work with. They're always decent people. I mean, their religion, I've got major issues with that because it's not Christianity. And if your religion's not Christianity, I'm sorry, I've got major issues with it. But each to their own. They're entitled to do it, and they're allowed to do it. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't appear to hurt anyone else, and they appear to be good people. But all these agendas, they do many things, but they, particularly the Muslim one, it serves to drive a wedge between society and Muslims, and make Muslims out to be the bad guy. And it happens with all of them. These ones in America, I mean, they're just getting worse, aren't they? These actors, it's just... I had one the other day. I saw this photo the other day where they had this bandage on this lady's back, and it was obviously not blood, and the bandage wasn't even on the wound, and there was you could see under the bandage, and there was no wound there. It's just and that Las Vegas one, my goodness gracious me, I just sit back here in Australia and go, what on earth is going on over there? But we're a mirror. We're a mirror to, like, we're talking about moving that embassy to Jerusalem and stuff as well. We're just on our knees looking to pleasure America, who's just looking to pleasure Israel, of course. So I'm down with it. They drive these agendas, all of these hoaxes, all these false flags. They drive an agenda, but they also implant these ideas into people's brains, and it just makes me wonder whether is this where all of these criminal acts, did they start? Were they introduced? I believe diseases were absolutely introduced. I mean, guys, we went to the moon 50 years ago. Well, we didn't, but, that's the narrative. We went to the moon 50 years ago, but we still can't cure cancer. Huh? It's the whole thing's just a crock of shit. All of these diseases are created so they can give us vaccines to make us sick. I mean, we all know that. But it implants these things into people's heads, these ideas, these thoughts, and it's exactly what they want. And it just, then if the masses, I don't know, if they get on it, they don't have to do as many false flags, do they? I don't know, just something that's been on my mind, something I want to put out there. Any thoughts, let me know. Am I off beam? I don't think I'm off beam. I think I'm right there. And it's every time I see one of these, that's it too. I just inside at the shopping centre there, I'm I'm at Tuggerah again, and just inside the shopping. No, it was in the gym. I just finished up at the gym, and there's a story on the news today that there's a big terror bust in Melbourne. You know, and straight away, and I'm awake. You know, straight away I thought, oh, these would have to be Muslims, and sure enough, it was Muslims. You know, and it's like, did it even happen? I don't think it did. It's just we've never had a terror attack here in Australia. It's just. Terrorism doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It was driven by 9/11. Well, I think it sort of started before that, didn't it? But you look at all of them through history, they're all just done by the government that people defend by making people like me out to be stupid for speaking the truth. It's getting harder and harder, guys, but you have to walk with Christ. You have to be with Christ. You have to have the relationship with Christ. Talk to him, let him talk back, listen to him, have eyes to see, have ears to hear, and we are in it for the long haul. Us within the body of Christ, we are in it for the long haul. I know I am, because it's truth for one, and it's the reward. I don't know. I'm not into rewards. I think that's why I'm a follower of Christ. It's one of the many reasons why I'm a follower of Christ. I'm not, but it's I don't know. Going up to heaven and living with Jesus. I mean, Jesus sounds like a cracking fella, didn't he? Like some of the things he said in the Bible, you just go, yeah, you know, I want to be on your side. And imagine just spending eternity up there with him. Or you can go into the bottomless pit with all these people who wreak all these atrocities on everyone, you know. I know whose side I'm on. I'm with the Creator. Thanks, guys.